Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. No talking points memo, so we can get right to former Secretary of Defense and CIA Chief Leon Panetta. His new book, Worthy Fights, is out today and is destined to be a bestseller. In the book, Mr. Panetta talks about terrorism, presidential leadership, and touches briefly on Benghazi. He also tells the moving story of his immigrant parents and his own rise to become one of the most powerful men in the United States. From July 1994 to January 97, Mr. Panetta was President Clinton's chief of staff. Before that, he had been a congressman from California for 16 years. He left Washington in 97, but returned in 2009 to become the director of the Central Intelligence Agency under President Obama. In 2011, he became Secretary of Defense, a position he held until February of last year. Simply put, Leon Panetta knows plenty about how the U.S. government really works. This morning on the Today Show, Mr. Panetta was asked about ISIS and about why President Obama pulled all U.S. troops out of Iraq instead of leaving a force behind.
And I think he really did want to try to do what was right, but his feeling was if Maliki doesn't want it, why should we keep pushing on this?
Maliki being the incompetent prime minister of Iraq who was forced to resign after ISIS overran parts of Iraq earlier this year. Leon Panetta joins us now. So by not leaving U.S. troops in Iraq, President Obama committed a colossal blunder. Did he not?
There's no question that not maintaining a true presence in Iraq so that we could continue the momentum towards trying to secure that country and try to hope that it could govern itself in the right way, I think was a mistake.
No question. I say it was a colossal blunder, not just a mistake. A mistake is driving your rear view fender into the wall when you're parking your car. This is a colossal blunder that has led to the deaths of tens of thousands of people because ISIS has now expanded throughout Syria and Iraq and is slaughtering, even today, slaughtering people. Now, the why of it. So you and a bunch of other people, Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, went in and said, you know what, you got to keep some troops there. Did you pound the table like I would have, or were you diplomatic like you usually are?
Well, I think we made a very strong case that we had to maintain at least 10,000 troops.
And you looked him in the eye and
Absolutely.
You said, I, Leon Panetta, Secretary of Defense, and I'm assuming Mrs. Clinton did the same thing. I, Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, and I'm assuming the CIA did the same thing.
Exactly.
All three of you looked Barack Obama in the eye, like I'm looking you in the eye right now, and said, you have to keep forces there. And he said, well, I don't.
Well, Bill, just to keep the record straight here, I think the president did support providing that $10,000 troop presence in Iraq, and supported CIA operations, supported the diplomatic operations that we wanted to continue. The real issue was how hard did he fight?
He didn't fight hard at all
to make it happen. That's the issue.
He didn't do anything. Maliki said, I don't know, because Maliki is being threatened by the Iranians, as you know. The Iranians didn't want the force in there, did they?
No, the Iranians were trying to influence Maliki.
Right. So Maliki folded to the Iranians, and Obama didn't say, we're keeping those guys in. Because Maliki couldn't have gotten them out. And so, all right, we know what happened. You know what bothers me here, and you're part of the problem here, is that the United States is caught by surprise by everything. All right? ISIS, we didn't know. Clapper didn't tell me. You saw that, right? On 60 Minutes? Did you see it? That's embarrassing.
I saw the.
Isn't that embarrassing?
Well, I think that when things like that happen, it's more than just an intelligence failure. It's a policy failure as well.
Well, he didn't admit that, did he, the president?
Well, I think, the fact is, when you look at all of the issues
did
here,
he admit that on 60
presence,
Minutes that it was his fault? Did he say it was his fault?
I think he quoted Jim Clapper as saying that intelligence failed. I understand, pointing to Clapper's comment here, but I think when you look at the situation, it's more than just an intelligence failure, it's a policy failure.
Okay. Have you ever heard Barack Obama, in your conversations with him as CIA Chief and Defense Secretary, say, I was wrong, I made a mistake?
I've heard him admit to mistakes. The real question is whether or not you learn from those lessons and then do the right thing.
And obviously in your book, you don't think he's learned from the lessons.
Well, he certainly has learned the importance of now taking on ISIS and going to war against ISIS.
Oh, bull.
Well, look.
Come on, he tells the enemy we're not even going to put soldiers on the ground to get you.
Well, wait a minute. Let me answer your question. He now has made very clear that we ought to maintain 10,000 troops in Afghanistan. Obviously, he worked at that. He worked with
had to do
the new
that.
leadership. Yeah, but that's something we should have done in Iraq.
All right, but let me stop you here. I mean, I read your book. All right.
Good.
All
I'm
right.
glad you
yeah.
did.
And I'm sorry, but according to you, he hasn't learned from his mistakes, and he doesn't admit his mistakes.
Well, I want him to learn from his mistakes.
I know you want him to, but he doesn't.
You should want the president.
Sure, I do.
You want the president to succeed. I want the president to succeed.
I want all Americans to be protected, and we're not being protected. ISIS caught him by surprise, correct? Correct?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what he admitted.
Putin getting Crimea caught you by surprise, correct? Correct? Pretty big. It's pretty big.
No, we know what Putin did in the Crimea.
But you didn't know he was going to do it. All right? Okay.
I don't know if he knew that, whether or not Putin was going to do it.
75,000 children from Guatemala, Honduras come to the border. Administration caught by surprise. You see the big picture here? I'm sure you do. You're smarter than I am. You're much smarter than I am. The big picture is the Obama administration doesn't know what the deuce is going on.
I think the big picture is that this is a president who I think wants to do the right thing for the country. The real question is whether or not he's willing to fight to get that done.
So did John Tyler. All right? Okay?
Yeah.
There's a performance level, is there not? This is, would you say, to be fair, and I know I'm being tough on you, but that's what I get paid to do,
Yeah.
all right? Would you say that President Obama's foreign policy has been effective? Yes or no?
Yeah, but Bill, you've got to put this in context, and let me do that, okay, just to be fair. In the 4 years that I was there, President Obama supported the operations I was involved in CIA. He supported the bin Laden operation. He supported the operations we did at the Defense Department. I think he provided pretty strong leadership with regards to the war on terrorism. I think the last 2 years have been a lot of mixed messages in terms of what the United States' role is going to be.
Okay.
And now I think he's back with the position on ISIS. I think he's beginning to see that we have to take a strong stand against terrorism.
Beginning to?
Well,
I mean,
he's back to
how many people
seeing
have
how
to
important
die?
that threat is.
How many people have to die and be beheaded? Beginning to? Look, here's my beef in the big picture. Drones, very good. I got no problem with that. You guys did an excellent job.
Yeah.
You found them. You killed them. You should have done. Bin Laden, don't give me that this was some brave thing. The CIA, and under your direction, found him. All right? Where's the doctor, the Pakistani doctor that helped you do that? Where is he? Where is he?
He's in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Waiting to get out.
Where?
In prison.
In prison. Why hasn't our president gotten him out?
Well,
Why?
We have made a lot of requests to the Pakistanis to do the right thing.
Are we still sending them money? Yeah.
Of course we're sending them money.
Why?
And we're
That
continuing
doctor's
to
in
do that.
jail. They shouldn't be sending him a cent until he gets out. You see what I'm talking about? There's a way to do stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, our enemies throughout the world, and this includes China and Russia, do not fear the United States now, do they?
It's very important when the president says something that we do it. And I think that's one of the problems with taking the position on chemical warfare in Syria was that we drew a line and we didn't
Give
stand
me a
by it.
straight answer. Do our enemies throughout the world fear us?
I think they're getting a mixed message as to whether or not the United States will stand by its word.
So I'm taking that as a no, because that emboldens, as you know, the bad guys. If they don't fear you, then they go and they do bad things, because Putin knows nobody's going to stop him, correct?
When you deal with Putin, you've got to deal with him from strength, not weakness.
How have we been dealing with Putin from strength?
When you deal with Putin, you've got to
Have
make
we
it
been
clear
dealing with
it.
Putin from strength?
I would have taken some very tough positions with regards to Putin, not just sanctions, but I would have also provided military aid to the Ukrainians. I would have resurrected the whole issue on missile defense. I would make sure that NATO was strengthened in terms of the surrounding countries, and I would provide an additional energy resource to other countries to make clear to Russia that they alone cannot blackmail these countries through energy.
That was not done. Why was it not done?
Well, I think that's the kind of tough position that needs to be taken if we're going to confront Putin.
So just to be fair, just recapping, because we're going to hold Mr. Panetta over unless his Secret Service agents shoot me or beat me up for 2 more segments. In the initial part of this interview, I'm seeing a president, all right, from your eyes, former CIA chief, former defense secretary, who is either incapable or doesn't understand the dangers that the United States faces. That's the message I'm getting from you.
I think this president is smart enough to understand the dangers. The real question is, can he translate that into the kind of action that will help protect this country?
Okay. So far he has not done that, and except for the drones, all right? Why? Is he not a courageous man? Does he not trust the military? What is it that holds him back from doing the tough things that neutralize our enemies?
But, Bill, he is taking the right step right now with regards to ISIS.
I don't believe
We are
that.
going to war against ISIS. We're doing air attacks against ISIS. We have troops in Iraq to try to help the Iraqis. I mean, I do believe that the president understands that ISIS represents a real threat to this country and that we have to confront them.
Here's how impotent President Obama's foreign policy is. Right now, as we speak, people are being murdered on the border of Syria and Turkey by ISIS. Number one, we didn't bomb ISIS as they approached the town that they're sieging. Why? I don't know. We didn't do it. Number two, the Turkish army is on the border within eyesight of the slaughter and won't come over to fight ISIS. Are you kidding me? ISIS is winning. They're winning because the West and the anti-terror forces don't have the will to confront them.
ISIS is going to be a tough and resilient enemy. There's no question about it. I think we are taking steps to try to confront them. I think the problem is this is going to be a long and sustained effort. And I don't know that the American people are prepared for that. But I think the president has an obligation to say to this country, we are confronting an enemy in ISIS. This is going to take time, and we've got to be committed to doing everything necessary to defeat that enemy.
Would I be wrong and a mean guy to say, I don't believe Barack Obama has the stomach for the fight?
Look, I'm a guy who believes that Barack Obama, by virtue of what I've seen in the time I was there, has the guts to do the right thing. The real question is, will he make the decision to do it?
Okay, let's take a break. A little more. I have many more questions. And we'll be back in just a few moments. Continuing now with Leon Panetta, former Secretary of Defense and CIA chief. His new book, Worthy Fights, hits the marketplace today. Going to be a big bestseller. On September 11, 2012, terrorists in Libya murdered Ambassador Christopher Stevens and 3 other Americans in Benghazi. The attack remains controversial today because of misstatements by the Obama administration and unanswered questions. On the night of the attack, a group of American CIA security contractors were 1 mile away from Ambassador Stevens, who was under fire. The men say they were ready to help, but were ordered by a CIA officer to wait.
We actually jocked up and got ready to go, and as we tell in the book, that we were ready to go within 5 minutes.
Within 5 minutes?
In 5 minutes, we are jocked up and ready to go.
And then how, Mark, how long did they keep you from not going?
It's almost 30 minutes.
Okay, so you were ready in 5, you wasted 25 minutes.
Easy.
So, Mr. Panetta, do you believe those men?
I have no reason not to believe him.
They wouldn't tell me the name of the CIA officer who wouldn't order them to help the ambassador and the other Americans under fire. They say they will tell Congress when Congress resumes hearings on Benghazi. Isn't that very disturbing?
I think if in fact there was a 30-minute delay, I think that it is important for the Congressional Committee to look into that
find out
issue
why,
and
correct?
determine what happened.
All right. The other thing that I want to know about is Susan Rice going out telling the world 7 days after the attack that it was motivated by a spontaneous demonstration off an anti-Muslim video. We all know the story. We don't have to listen to the soundbite again. We all know it. All right. You, on the night of the attack, say you told President Obama you believed it was not a spontaneous attack. It was a terror attack. Is that correct?
General Dempsey and I were over talking to the president when we got word about what was happening. And what I told the president was that, that there was an attack that was going on in Benghazi, and that we were concerned that, that the consulate there was in trouble. And it was based on that that the president then said, well, let's try to do everything we can to try to see what happens.
Did you use the word terror attack?
I used the word attack, that there was an attack by terrorists.
Oh, you said attack by terrorists. By terrorists. All right. So attack by terrorists. Now I want you to listen to this soundbite. Roll it. Did he tell you, Secretary Panetta, it was a terrorist attack?
You know, what he told me was that there was an attack on our compound.
He didn't use the word terror?
You know, in the heat of the moment, Bill, what folks are focused on is what's happening on the ground. Do we have eyes on it? How can we make sure our folks are secure?
I just want to get this on record. Did he tell you it was a terror attack?
Bill, and what I'm answering your question. What he said to me was, we've got an attack on our compound. We don't know yet. We don't know yet who's doing it.
Disingenuous?
Look.
Come on.
Yeah,
disingenuous?
But we told the president that there is an attack that's going on, that terrorists are involved in the attack.
Okay, let me stop you there.
And that as a result of that, we have to respond to it.
Fine.
Okay?
The audience can make their own determination whether it was disingenuous. However, 7 days after that, the UN ambassador, Susan Rice, goes out after you and Dempsey told them it was attacked by terrorists and says, no, it was spontaneous. When you heard Ambassador Rice say that, what went through Leon Panetta's mind?
The only thing I could think of is that she was working from the talking points that the CIA had provided, and those talking points basically said that this was a demonstration.
All right, so that was Petraeus who did that.
It was the CIA that provided those talking points.
And Petraeus was in charge. So you and Dempsey were ignored, and Petraeus was accepted. Is that fair?
In those situations, the CIA is the one that has to come forward with the analysis as to what exactly took place in that situation. And they were still in the process, frankly, of gathering the information.
All right. So
I thought those talking points, frankly, were not on point.
Because obviously, subsequently, they're wrong. They were wrong.
My view was, with the kind of weapons that showed up, there was no question in my mind that it was a terrorist attack.
Again, you're way smarter than me, but that's what I said here on this set. Yeah. Guys don't show up in a spontaneous demonstration with mortars. All right, and they were casing the place, and they had video of them casing the place. Yeah. Not exactly a great moment in the Obama administration, correct?
No, I think the conclusion in the talking points really should have, what they should have made clear is that we simply do not have the information we need in order to determine what happened. Right. That's what they should have said.
Another quick break. I got another surprise question for Leon Panetta. He's loving this interview, everyone. Just look at him. He's loving this. We'll be right back. Next segment tonight, our final segment with Leon Panetta, author of the new book, Worthy Fights, just out today. So I need a very direct answer on this, all right?
Of course.
Who is the better leader, Bill Clinton or Barack Obama?
They're both bright, they're both able, they both want to do what's right for the country. I think the difference is that Bill Clinton likes politics, likes the engagement in politics. Barack Obama does not like that process of engaging in politics, and I think that hurts his presidency.
How does it hurt it? If he doesn't like the political spectrum and dealing with the Congress and other things of foreign leaders?
It hurts him in terms of getting things done. And so, you've got this stalemate in Washington to begin with, where there's such partisanship and division that's going on in the Congress, and then if the president doesn't engage with them, then you have a situation where everybody gives up, and they've basically given up on things. They've given up on a budget deal, they've given up on immigration reform, they've given up on issues like infrastructure funding, on trade, on energy. I mean, that is what concerns me, because I think this country cannot stand another 2.5 years of stalemate.
No, that's what you're going to have. And if the president loses the Senate, which he very well may, you're going to have a real lame duck situation. Now, Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, while you were Secretary of Defense, right?
That's right.
And you know her very well because you were Chief of Staff, and she was running the country, right? And when you were Chief of Staff for Bill Clinton, wasn't she running the country? Oh,
she was very involved.
Very involved, okay. But she wasn't so involved in the State Department because she got cable after cable saying that the security in Libya was bad, and she didn't really do anything about it. Is that unfair?
I think it's unfair because if I know Hillary Clinton, if she knew that there was a security problem in Benghazi, she would have done something about it.
Then why didn't she know if the cables exist, telling the State Department, look, we need more people here?
You know what, Bill?
The British had been attacked there?
I don't know that bureaucracy. I know the Defense Department. I don't know what happened at the State Department. But I know one thing. If she had known that there was a problem there at Benghazi, she would have done something about it.
Shouldn't she have fired the people who didn't tell her, because nobody got sacked except the whistleblowers that said, hey, we asked and we didn't get?
Yeah, I mean, I would have been concerned about not receiving that information if, in fact, it was out there.
Okay. Now, when you think back about how the country has changed in the 6 years since Barack Obama has been president, I am worried about this country.
Me too. Me too.
And what is your primary concern?
Look, I'm the son of Italian immigrants, and my parents believed deeply in the American dream. My father used to tell me the reason they came to this country is because my mother and he believed they could give their children a better life. I'm worried about whether or not our children are going to have a chance at a better life. You've got this tremendous dysfunction in Washington. You've got a number of threats that we're confronting abroad. We're dealing with a situation where I think this country can go one of two directions. We can either be a great country, an American renaissance, or we could be an American decline. And
we're in decline now. Would that be a fair statement?
I think right now
we're in decline.
With ICE, we govern either by leadership or crisis. And today we are largely governing by crisis.
Look, when President Obama says, and you agree with him here, that arming Syrian rebels, who we don't even know much about, is going to blunt the ISIS fanatics, guys like me say that's just bull. That's not going to happen. You can make a little plan or whatever, but what's going to have to happen is there's going to have to be a sophisticated fighting force on the ground against these animals. That's what's going to have to happen. President Obama doesn't have the heart or the will to do it. The next president may. But you're not going to defeat them by training Syrian rebels in Saudi Arabia and giving them a few weapons. That's not going to work, and you know it's not going to work.
You're dealing with a very dangerous and fanatical enemy in Syria. And frankly, it's not going to work just to do air attacks without having people on the ground who know where the targets are and what's going on. Now, if we have people that we can trust on the ground, that's fine. But if the military thinks that we ought to have special forces boots on the ground in order to do what's right, I think the president ought to be open to that kind of recommendation.
Once again, he is not. Once again, he is not leading. No, he said he wasn't. He said it a number of times. He's not open to that. And that brings me to my last question. It's very possible Barack Obama is just not up to the job.
I don't believe that, Bill.
You don't want to believe
I don't know, because I want this president to be successful. I want this country to be successful. And I think deep down, you know, he knows what needs to be done. What he's got to do is develop the will to fight, to get into the ring,
he better get
in order to make it happen.
He better get on it.
I agree with you.
All right. Leon Panetta, thanks for taking the fire here.
Okay, Bill.
All right, highlight of your week, wasn't it, here in New York City?
Right. And I'm heading back to California.
I know. I've known Mr. Panetta, Secretary Panetta, for a long time, and he is, you're just an honest man and a great public servant, and I want everybody to know that.
I thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, Bill.
Okay, right. Plenty more ahead as the Factor moves.